Buenos dias. Today, let's go into the first of our Forgotten Ballers series. And we're going to start with one of my favorites, if not my favorite. The guy is a uh, hero, literally, and the NFL's first great defensive end, who oddly enough got his start in the NFL here in Dallas with the 1952 Dallas Texans, that later, after becoming a ward of the NFL and playing their final game in Hershey, Pennsylvania, became the Baltimore Colts. And that team had a few notables on it. Art Donovan and the man we are profiling today, his defensive line mate, Gino Marchetti. Now, Gino was viewed as the NFL's first premier defensive end. Obviously you could go onto YouTube and watch some of his highlights and see, how the guy was just a prototype. 6'4", 250, and admittedly with his frame, if he would have played today, he would have played at 265, 268, somewhere in there, plenty big enough. Now, he played that left end position, which that was viewed as the pivotal position on the defensive line in terms of rushing the passer, because most quarterbacks are right-handed, and you want to send, your best defensive end into his face, your best pass rusher into his face. That was the thought process back then, and that it continued on into the 70s, with guys like Jack Youngblood and a lot of guys that were, standout defensive ends, played the left end position. Now, Lawrence Taylor changed that when it was determined that you can go backside and create fumbles, and huge plays by emphasizing the right end as the best pass rusher or in the premium pass rush position on your football team. Now, Marchetti, and the stories are legendary. This is a guy who, before they kept sack statistics, he recollects that he had at least 9 in one game. So he would have had huge sack numbers, but they didn't keep sack numbers back then. And in my estimation, greatest defensive end in terms of being a pursuit defensive end and a guy that I would have playing right end on my team is a man named David Deacon Jones. And Deke is legendary. And he did start keeping sacks when Deke came along and popularized the term. Deacon Jones always said, Gino Marchetti, that's my idol. I love his hands. I love his stride. Marchetti is my guy. And so this is Deacon Jones saying that Gino Marchetti is his idol. Now, in addition to that, going back a little bit, Gino, when lying about your age to enlist in the military was common, fought in the Battle of the Bulge at age 17. Now, you think about that. In World War II, think about that. What were you doing when you were 17? I know what I was doing when I was 17. And you cannot understate that significance, what this man did. So he goes to, his family's originally from West Virginia. They move out west to the San Francisco area, Northern California area. And his brother, according to Gino, is actually a better football player than he is. Well, I'll tell you what, some good-ass genetics. So a guy from San Francisco, the San Francisco University, the Dons of San Francisco, Bill Russell went there, recruits Gino's brother and says, hey, I'll bring your brother too. Well, Gino starts out as an offensive lineman, and he ends up being one of 4 Hall of Famers on the San Francisco Dons team the previous year before he ended up in Dallas with the Texans, that went undefeated and had 4 future Hall of Famers on it. Gino, Bob St. Clair, the offensive lineman, Burl Tolbert, who was a great linebacker, but I believe mainly gained fame from being an NFL official, but had crazy talent for the time that he did play before an injury ended his career prematurely. And Ollie Matson, the running back from Texas, that also his family also moved out to California. This is a theme we're talking about here, a trend, if you will, at that time. Matson was generally regarded as the best running back in the country. They also had Pete Rozelle as their SID, and he championed Matson to a lot of the Eastern writers to get Heisman consideration. Again, you're talking about a different time in terms of segregation, and the University of San Francisco being a religious school, the racism thing just didn't play there. And there are legendary stories about Gino and just about that team in general, but some particularly with Gino. Gino, after a game, they're walking off the field. He walks up to Ollie Matson. He puts his arm around him, and he's walking with him off the field. He's talking to him. And Matson's like, man, come on. You can't do stuff like that. You're going to make yourself a target, man, by showing everybody you're my friend and supporting me. But it didn't end there. One time, the Dons, again, Gino and Ollie and the boys all hanging out. They go to a bar, and the bartender pulls out a shotgun because they've got, because Ollie Matson's with them, black man. And Gino grabbed the barrel of the shotgun, reportedly, and told the guy, where he could stick it. So this is a guy that has a great backstory, and also an addendum to that. The Dons went undefeated, had a great season, all right, and were scheduled to play. They received an invite from the Orange Bowl down in Miami, and they said, you could come, but you got to leave Tolbert and Ollie behind. They can't come. And so San Francisco got word of this on the train back from their last game, and they were celebrating and so forth. And the consensus was unanimous amongst the team. As Bob St. Clair said, I'll tell you what, how about we send Ollie and Burl out there by themselves just to kick your ass? They turned down the invite, and in their minds and in the minds of a lot of people, this was the best team in college football for future NFL Hall of Famers. And Gino flipped from offensive tackle, where he was a middling player, to defensive end. And this was done by Weeb Eubank. And the rest, as they say, is history. If you watch the violent hands, the strong hands, the stride, the speed, the quickness, there's no doubt he could play today. I look at guys that are, that he compares favorably to, throughout the ages. When you look in the 70s and you look at a Harvey Martin, you look in the 80s, you look at a Mark Gastineau, 6'5", 265, great speed. You look at guys like Chandler Jones, 6'5", 265, unbelievable short area quickness and great hands. The one that really stands out to me, and it is odd but not odd, because he is also 6'4", 6'5". He plays at about 275, and that is Joey Bosa. Oddly enough, also Italian American, but their styles are pretty similar in terms of the hands and the dip, and Joey's a hell of a player, and certainly Nick, and deservingly so, is regarded as, along with Myles Garrett, the best defensive end in the NFL. But he has a different style. Nick is like Popeye or George Foreman, just beating the living daylights out of people. Whereas Joey is a little more is fluid, handsy, and quick, and get the dip up and under, and that, and he looks like Marchetti incarnate watching him on film. But back to Marchetti, this is a guy that you just need to watch the film if you don't know who he is. Obviously, a legendary individual. I mean, he fought in the Battle of the Bulge at the age of 17, was the NFL's premier defensive end, and a guy that was feared Okay, in the words of Raymond Berry, he was like a lion in a cage, just pacing around anxiously. And when we would get to the game, we would just open up the cage and let him out. You know, so this is a guy that was dominant, a dominant NFL player, and the NFL's first great defensive end. Obviously, a great human being as well, in terms of the stands that he took and the way that he went about it. Man, he's just very, very quiet. Did not say a whole lot. Didn't feel like that he had to. You know, his game was so loud. Gino the Giant Marchetti, one of the forgotten ballers, but trust me, go on to YouTube, the greatest platform in the history of the internet, in my estimation, in terms of accessing information and videos from the past, if you will. Yeah, obviously it'd be real fucking cool if you could access videos from the future. They're all from the past. And here I am wearing the fucking glasses, trying to look smart and saying shit like that. Gino Marchetti, do yourself a favor and do a deep dive into him, and just check out his highlights and learn a little bit about the man. We lost him last year, I believe it was. Just a dynamite football player and an even better human being. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to keep this going, and you can look forward to upcoming segments on guys like Rayfield Wright, Jack Youngblood, amongst others that are maybe forgotten or overlooked. Joey Flowsa, hope you enjoyed it. We will see you again next time.